Hey, it's Chris Aiken from the Classic Metal Show, and I want to invite you to my first ever public book signing. I'll be doing a special reading, question and answer session, and a signing of my new book, Little Victories, A Tale of Divorce, Debauchery, and Finding Happiness on Thursday, March 20th at Visible Voice Books, located at 1023 Kenilworth Road, Cleveland, Ohio, 44113. I'll have a limited supply of Little Victories on hand to sign. I'll be reading selections from Little Victories, as well as telling stories and reading some material that was left out of Little Victories. I'll end with a Q&A session that will be a no-holds-barred affair. The signing will be from 7 to 9 p.m. at Visible Voice Books, 1023 Kenilworth Road, Cleveland, Ohio, 44113. Come out, have some fun, and be a part of a rare appearance from me, Chris Aiken.
Look at McMichael Bubba in the chat room. Thanks for playing some Red Rain tonight. Did you like that tune?
I did like that tune. I'm looking for. I literally downloaded the album like after the show started. So I have not heard it at all, but I will. I'll give it a listen probably Monday because tomorrow I'm out running all day.
Yeah,
but
you're chasing pussy again.
Stop. Stop. Why do I got to be chasing pussy?
Well, that's what you do.
Look, did I tell you she listens?
Yeah. Well, hey, you know what? That's the hazards of turning on your speakers.
Yep, I know. Believe me, I'm not going to stop talking because she's listening. She knows what I do.
Sure. All right. Well, yesterday afternoon and last night we debuted our newest show to the CMS Radio Network.
Yeah.
Miles the Shoe.
Yes, the Shoe made his debut.
And Miles came on strong, brought on Michael Anthony as well as Mr. Andriotis.
Yeah, Teddy Zigzag with an appearance too.
Teddy Zigzag.
I'm not going to lie, and I know you have your critique. I have my quick 2-second review. I listened to the whole thing like you did. I liked Teddy Zigzag's interview better than Michael Anthony's.
Well, you know, the thing is Teddy Zigzag, what has he got to lose?
Nothing, and he basically said exactly that.
That's the whole thing. That's the reason why he said the things that he said, is he's got nothing to lose.
Yeah, I liked him. He just came out and was like, I'm never going to play with that guy again.
Right. Well, I met Teddy way back in 2002, I believe, when he was with Alice Cooper.
Okay.
And I spoke with him briefly at Alice Cooper's Cooperstown when he still had that restaurant in Cleveland.
Right.
And I did meet him. Very nice guy, very friendly, and very cool guy. And, you know, he's one of those peripheral players that's got nothing to lose. So to put a very 50s vernacular on it, he let it all hang out.
Yeah, he did.
And Miles asked a lot of good questions.
He did.
I was impressed with the line of questions that he asked Michael Anthony where the Van Halen thing stood.
Okay.
About what it would take to get him to play with Van Halen again if the offer were made.
Sure.
And I also, you know, enjoyed his line of questioning about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and what advice he would give to the members of KISS, since there seems to be some animosity among the original lineup as opposed to the current lineup, and who would show up and who would play and who would not play, and you know, all that stuff.
Sure.
Very insightful questions.
Mm-hmm.
I liked his audio quality. Top notch.
Sure. Very good.
Top notch audio quality. So overall, for a kid, and that's no slight, it's just fact, excellent job.
I thought it was real good too, man. I mean, if I had any critique at all, any criticism, and it would be slight, and maybe it's just me, and I wasn't, again, I've been sick all week, so when I was listening to it, I really wasn't feeling very good. But did it sound to you on the Michael Anthony interview like it might have been clipped a little bit? Like it was like edited a little too tight?
Yeah, it was edited too tight. You could tell Michael was calling in via the Skype.
Right.
One thing for you, Miles, I know you're listening. Go to your audio properties on your Skype and mute everything.
Yeah.
Because you can hear when he hangs up and all that other stuff. It goes, boo, whoop. You can mute all those noises.
Right.
So if you're going to use the Skype, I mean, Chris and I are currently talking on the Skype. You would never know it.
No, not really.
But, yeah, you can mute those audio properties so you don't get those noises.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing. The other thing is that I understand the excitement with doing the show and being new at the game, as it were. But you seemed a little rushed. That's the only other critique I have, is just being rushed. It's like, hey, I'm Miles Schuman. This is Miles Schuman. We're doing the show. This is Michael Anthony coming up. He's going to be on the phone. Later, we're going to have Teddy Zigzag Andriatis on the show. Hey, let's get to Michael Anthony. Hey, Michael, what's going on? Just just relax. Take it easy. Just get into the rhythm of the show. I get it. It is kind of a nervous thing, and it comes with experience. So that's not like a harsh criticism. That's just take your time, take it easy. Just like, hey, this is Miles Schuman. Thanks for tuning in today. Today on today's show, we've got Michael Anthony, former bassist of Van Halen, current bassist of Chickenfoot, and he's going to come on the show, and we're going to talk to him and so on. And later on in the show, we got so-and-so, and, just take it easy. Don't need to be rushed. Mikey does the same thing.
Yep, exactly. It is definitely a younger thing. It's something that you get more laid back as you do it more. But did you happen to hear the guy in between the two interviews too? The roadie guy.
Yeah. The what was his name? Is he from Cleveland?
Yeah, I think he's from Cleveland. I don't know him, but Doogie.
Yeah. Doogmeister or whatever.
Yeah, Doogie something.
Yeah, works with Lita Ford, and who works with Sammy, and
Yeah, no, that dude was really good.
Sure, but again, another guy who's got nothing to lose.
Yeah, but and I'll tell you what, that's the kind of questions, for people that have heard this, and if they haven't, go and Miles, you can put your thing in the chat room and I'll read it, your Spreaker address. But Miles has this show out there on Spreaker now so that you can download it if you didn't catch it on Friday. But Miles asked the very best questions that he asked to that dude.
Right.
Because he just put it into that. The question I liked the very most out of Michael's interview, Teddy Zigzag, or the Doogie guy's interview was the question about, this is the kind of shit me and you would ask somebody point blank. Did you think about going to Van Halen instead of being loyal to Michael Anthony?
Right, exactly.
That's a fucking punch in the eyes, either way you go question. That's a good shot.
Sure it is.
And that guy didn't duck it. He went right for it, and he did some political dance with it, and that's fine, but those are the kind of questions that set you apart from everybody else that just asks all the nice questions.
I agree. Miles is on a good path here. He's got to throw caution to the wind and just go, what are you going to do to me? Going to hang up? Okay, so you hang up.
Yeah, okay, goodbye.
All right.
Yeah. By the way, Miles's Spreaker page, if you want to download it or give it a listen, is Spreaker.com/user/theshoe. Or you could just go to Spreaker.com and type in the shoe and it'll come up.
Yeah. You need to rename your show, Miles, too, on the Spreaker. You can't just, it should be like something like Miles the Shoe Show or something like that.
Okay.
Did you see it though?
No, I didn't look.
Go over to his page there. That was the only small critique I had.
Miles Schuman. Oh, it just comes up with his name.
Yeah, see, Miles Schuman. What is that? Miles Schuman.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there.
You need to put it out there as a show, as the Miles the Shoe Show or something. I don't know. You need to come up with
the shoe with Miles Schuman.
Exactly, something like that.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Just change it. That's just in the settings.
That's my point. You need to rename the page.
Right.
So that's just a couple small critiques, but you're on your way.
Yeah.
You're doing all the right things.
You're making Neeley no longer listen to Maximum Threshold.
Again, I like those guys. I just some of those. my point has always been, if you're going to make the effort, do the best job you can with what you have.
Right, with the audio.
It's just like, oh my God. I mean, I did listen to it, but I was just like, this is so many of these things could be fixed so easily.
Yeah, well,
just with a little attention, you know.
True. I'm not going to argue. I can't argue your point.
But it grates on me, you know, and I don't know how the average listener, because I've got, you know, I've been doing this for so long that I'm just sort of key in on that kind of stuff. But, you know, for a guy like Miles, who's, you know, obviously he's a baby when it comes to this, already he's head and shoulders way, way past, you know, some guys who've been attempting to do this for years.
Sure. Well,
did you see that? Did you see that comment on the CMS Facebook where Miles' show was being, you know, discussed?
No, I did again all week. I didn't see anything. What was it say?
Rachel Taylor said about Miles' first show. That was a good first show on the new network. It won't be surprising to anyone, but a 14-year-old is smarter than the Rev. There's an old timer right there.
There you go. That's funny.
So I laughed at that when I saw that.
That is funny.
Smarter than the Rev.
Well, what's that say?
Well, it doesn't say a whole lot, but still. Here's a guy who you know, floated around out there for, you know, literally years.
And never got his audio in order. Never.
And here's a kid who's just doing this because he's got a genuine interest in it, and he's just already kicking that guy's ass. Not that that was such a monumental task, but regardless.
Congratulations, Miles. You passed a guy that never had more than 10 listeners ever.
Right.
In 5 years.
Right. So anyway, smart move, being a part of the CMS Radio Network and posting your stuff out there at the Spreaker there, Miles. We love the Spreaker.
Yeah.
And, you know, we'll give you as many props and as many, you know, kudos as we can to send our folks over there to the Spreaker and check out your show.
Sure. Absolutely. And I think next week his show is going to have one of our favorites, the real Jeff Tate.
Yeah, I understand he's went to the show and he's out there interviewing Jeff Tate.
Yeah, Jeff Tate is is next week. So
yeah.
That's cool.
I hope one of his questions was, hey, what do you think of those guys over there at that classic metal show? What do you think of those guys? Hey, Jeff, are you familiar with the real Jeff Tate?
Jeff, how come you call the classic metal show every week?
Yeah. Hey, Jeff, are you and Susan happy about the real Jeff Tate?
Jeff, you know, where do you keep the horses?
So good for you, Miles. Those are the few minor, you know, critiques I have for you, but
sure.
They're very small. Overall, enjoyable show. He kept it within his 1 hour. I saw he was getting kind of nervous with Teddy on the phone. Listen, we got to wrap this thing up. I'm up against my hour.
Yeah, well, here's a secret with us, Miles. I can't speak for all the stations, but you can be a little over.
It's okay.
What was our show last week? 7 hours?
It was 7 hours and a couple of minutes.
It's like fucking 8 hours long.
Yeah.
For our 6 hour window, we were right at 7.5 hours.
It was a nice long show, and I think we played maybe a total of eight or 10 tunes total.
Well, dude, we were talking, and the funny part is, you know, I don't know how you do with the pre-records, but I sort of know. You know, I don't know how I know, but I just sort of know when we can just stop. And I knew before we started the last segment that we did that we were already at it. I just knew that we were already at it. And you were like, well, let's just do one more. I was like, okay. Thinking, all right, it'll be like 6, you know, it'll be short. Because you said in between, you're like, we'll do a short one to end.
Right.
And I was like, okay, cool. And as soon as we got rolling, I was like, man, this is going to be a long fucking show.
Did you see Miles' comment in the chat room there?
Where?
He says, I've got an interesting story. Jeff and Susan Tate's story when I was with Jeff Tate last night. My mom said, Miles is on the classic metal show now. And he said, oh, great. like he was just like, yeah.
Great.
Those are the guys that do the real Jeff Tate thing, right?
Yeah, well, he's aware of that.
He's well aware of that.
He's well aware of that. Surprised he didn't say, son, there's the door.
The real Jeff Tate.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Well, good on you, Miles. Keep it up, bro.
Yeah, no kidding.
Glad to have you on the CMS Radio Network. And I got no complaints about the audio. Your audio quality was tits, man.
Yeah, it was good.
It was good.
It was very good, very clean. I would say let your interviews breathe a little bit more, but other than that, I think you're well on your way, my friend.
Yeah, you don't need to feel like you're up against a wall here. It's just like let it happen.
Yeah, if you go an hour 15 or 20 or whatever, you know, basically the way I think I have his laid out, where I try to lay it out where there's like an hour buffer on everything.
Sure.
So that
if it goes over, you know, it makes up for it. Yeah.
Right. So I think I do that usually. So if not, I'll adjust.
Right.
You know.
And speaking of the CMS Radio Network, being that I had a lot of opportunity and I had a lot of, let's just put it, windshield time this week.
Okay.
And I listened to the CMS Radio Network in the car. And I'm telling you that whole Bluetooth setup in these newer cars,
great,
just kicks ass, man.
No, that's one of the big reasons I'm pumped about getting my new car.
Sure.
Is that, you know, is to have that ability to just kind of throw the phone down and be going, and just, you know, I'll never hear local radio again.
Yeah. I drove 250 miles between Kansas City and some small bumfuck town in Illinois.
Right.
Didn't drop the signal once.
See, that's nice.
That was awesome. It was like listening to satellite radio.
That's real nice there.
Yeah. So I listened to the CMS Radio Network, and one of the older shows came on when Billy McCarthy came to the studio live.
His book.
Yeah.
The Devil Inside.
The Devil is Shakespeare.
Right.
Yeah. He came to the studio with Jim Bob.
Right. I remember that.
So that was airing yesterday.
Okay. Wow. That's like 2006 or
That was 06, yeah.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah. So I like listening to those old archive shows too. And we thought even back then we thought our audio was tits, man, but it was,
and now you listen to it, it's like
Billy,
how are you?
Yeah, well, it wasn't that bad, but it had a lot of hiss in it.
Right.
You know. So that was, 8 years ago.
And remember we had to reconnect every 5 minutes?
Yeah, we didn't quite have the internet connection we have today, and faster computers, faster processors.
Yeah, it was good. It was good for what it was back then, but it's a lot better now. That's
sure
for
it is. Absolutely. So anyway, critique of Miles, I will give him an A, not an A plus, not an A minus, just a flat out A.
Yeah, I'll give him I'll listen again. That's the best I'll give.
Well, I listened to it yesterday.
Yeah.
And then I listened to it on the Spreaker today.
Okay, so you're already a twofer.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yep. Listened to it twice.
And that's it for that one.
So tune in. So what's his normal schedule now on the CMS Radio Network?
He is on Fridays at 11 in the a.m. on the Eastern, and again at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Nice.
So he's got a double shot.
All right. Well, check out Miles the Shoe.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Chris Aiken from the Classic Metal Show. Most people know me as the foul-mouthed shock jock from the Classic Metal Show, or the no-nonsense heavy metal critic from PitRiff.com. Now you get to learn the other side. My first book, Little Victories, A Tale of Divorce, Debauchery, and Finding Happiness, comes out on January 13th in paperback and digital formats on Amazon and iTunes. It details my real-world emotional struggles over a year that included a divorce after a quarter-century of marriage and the death of my father. It profiles things I did right, as well as a bevy of things that I did wrong with the help of alcohol, and how I found my way out of the muck of the emotional state that almost saw me commit suicide. Pre-order your copy of Little Victories, A Tale of Divorce, Debauchery, and Finding Happiness today at www.chrisaikenbooks.com and get in touch with the more fallible side of me, Chris Aiken. sounds happy, huh?